All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Two Planker Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Schaefer, and we are back from a 2 month hiatus. I got a little bit busy with work, and so I ran out of the stockpile of episodes I recorded in August, pretty much. Same thing happened last year for the people that have been listening for a while, but we are back, and today on the show, we have the last of our line athlete profiles, and I have Luke Votaw with me. And Luke, thanks for joining the show, dude.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm glad we could set this up. When I first reached out to you, it was probably September, October, and you were like, "Yeah, I'm down, but I'm in New Zealand." So what was that all about?
New Zealand was super sick. I was down there for about a little over 2 months just skiing. I stayed with some homies, Luca and Benny Harrington, at their place and pretty much just skied down there for 2 months straight. It was super sick.
So you were literally just visiting some buds down there?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, they ski competitively too, so it kind of works out nicely. And we just skied a lot and then hung out. It was super sick.
Was that your first time going down there?
Was my second. I went down 3 years ago, previously the year before COVID, and then after that, I was planning to go again, but obviously you couldn't do all that with COVID and stuff. But I was hyped to be back last year for sure.
That's fire. All right. So we're gonna do the athlete profile on you. This is one of your first interviews. Definitely gonna be your longest one. So strap in. So let's help everyone get to know you a little bit. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Michigan, kind of Metro Detroit area, Ann Arbor area, and I've lived here my whole life. So
And how old are you now?
I'm 19 now.
That's crazy. So you're 19 years old from Michigan. You lived there your whole life. Did you go to high school in Michigan or did you go off somewhere
I
to an
did.
academy?
I went to my local high school up in, well, I actually went there the whole high school year, but I switched to an online program through my high school, but around sophomore year just so I could travel around and compete more, and it was way easier online. So
So we're gonna get into a little bit of that just because that's definitely unique for someone that has such a high skill level to not go into an academy. Um,
yeah,
but let's just get like a base layer. So when did you start skiing in general, and then when did you start like competing? Because I know you've been at this for a really long time now.
yeah. So I started skiing when I was 3 years old, and I got in the park when I was around 6 or 7, and I think I was doing my first competitions around 8, and then 9. I really started to pick up and do them consistently, and then pretty much from here and out.
That's wild. Did you have someone that was kind of showing you how it worked in the park? Did you go in there yourself? Like who taught you kind of your
Um,
fundamentals for the park?
my dad used to ski park a little bit here and there. He wasn't super great, but he loved it, so he kind of got me into that. And then at my local hill, Mount Brighton, there was always the local kids that were pretty good, and I looked up to them, so they pretty much got me into it. And then just my dad loved it, so he thought it'd be cool.
Yeah, that is awesome, bro. You're kind of like it's a little bit like of the Walker shreds. You know, you see these clips of these kids online. It's like 8-year-old kid doing this, 10-year-old kid
Yeah.
doing that. So, was it you that thought when you were younger, hey, I want to make all these edits, or was your dad saying, hey, this would be a good idea, or maybe a coach? Like, who was telling you to make all these edits and stuff from a young age?
Um, well, me and my dad, when I was like 8, we made like one on YouTube, and it kind of blew up for some reason. It was like the first that he was just kind of messing around and filming me. That one did pretty well. So we're like, all right, this is pretty cool. We should just keep making edits. And I always like loved the editing. I found that like super cool, and I just enjoy filming and that stuff a lot. So
Yeah, it's really interesting that that you've been so good for so long, like relative to your age.
hmm
And when did your skill level really start to progress? And like when did you start because you're from the Midwest, there's no like
hmm
real jumps. So how did you take that next level and like actually get like disgusting on rails and jumps?
um, well, in the Midwest, I got everything up to about 7 pretty good, and we always went to like Colorado for spring break, and then when you go out there, you kind of just see like this scale, like these jumps, like, oh wow, this is what I need to get to the next level. So then just I always get out there. We would all go out for a couple weeks in the spring when it was super nice, and then just kind of started training out there lightly. And then as the years went on, I started going out more, like over Christmas, and then just traveling more to get to the bigger jumps and when I needed to progress.
Was there anything that you were doing at your home mountain? Because like a
As
trip to
far as
Colorado every now and then doesn't get you
yeah,
doing
I
like
mean,
triples at like 13 or whatever, whenever you were doing it.
yeah, I mean, rails obviously you can still do that as good as anyone in the Midwest with all the rope tows, and you have the advantage of that for sure. And then I actually used to have a coach up in northern Michigan. He was from Canada. He used to have like airbags, not like the big like landing bags, but little ones where I could like practice like flips down and get the fundamentals down. So I did that for a few years and got some of the basic flips down and got pretty good, but no doubles or anything yet. But just to get started, those helped.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And I think there's like a misconception with you that like you're an academy kid and that you
I
have
know I hate that's the one that thinks that makes me so mad because like I mean I've obviously worked around with coaches here and there, but I've never been like stuck in an academy or done any like academy schooling or anything like that. Like it's all on my own, just skiing around. A lot of people, I mean, at first glance, I look probably like an academy kid, but it's not the case.
yeah, I mean at first glance you absolutely do because you're
Mm.
I mean you just it's just that you have the profile for it. You're a young guy
Right.
that's really good at skiing and so
Hmm.
everyone's like, "Oh yeah, it's dude, it's the same thing with any of these other skiers that are good. It's a mix of
Yeah.
jealousy. It's a mix of, sometimes it's true that these kids have like a lot of money
Mhm.
behind them, but
Right.
when it's not, people got to recognize that, like,
Yeah.
dude, it's
Yeah.
all on
For
you to
sure.
learn all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, I think some people give credit to it, but some of this, look at the surface of it and this thing, it's, oh, it's another academy kid that's drowning in money and just, I don't know. But definitely coming from the Midwest, you don't get that perspective. But
I mean, we'll dive into it more, but when did you start to get into like the formal competition scene, like the
um,
USASA stuff and like the Rev tours and all of that?
I started doing my first USASAs when I was about 8, and I did USASA nationals when I was 9. I've been doing nationals every year since then, and then when I was like 14, 15, I did my first Rev tour out in Waterville. I just got into one of those, and then I've been doing the Rev tours for like since I was 15. But USASA is still up until I was like just the local one, so I was like 14 though.
That's wild. And no, and like minimal coaching.
Yeah, no coaching really, just me and my dad traveling around pretty much.
That's crazy. And that, dude, I don't mean to jump into it because I've been researching you, I've been reading everything,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like it seems like a lot of these people are mad
Hmm.
that skiers have loving, supportive parents sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is not like just a sport you can go out and like do in your backyard, really. I mean, if you really want to get good, it takes commitment for sure. And I mean, obviously some money too. Just you can't just travel around all over the world and expect to not have any money to go with it. But definitely,
Yeah, but it's like any other youth sport. Like
yeah,
you think that travel soccer's cheap, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. Not the sport to a certain degree is cheap at all.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so when you got to high school, what was the decision? Like, was going to an academy on the table at all? Like,
Um,
where were you at with like, okay, this is how I'm doing competitively? Like, did you want to decide to take it kind of like as a quote unquote career path, or was it still just a hobby by then?
I think it's always been more of a career. I remember kind of thinking about doing an academy. I was like, even before like high school, I'm like, maybe going out to Wendell's or Y East would be beneficial. But my high school was pretty lenient on helping me out, and they kind of knew what was going on. So, I mean, the regular high school worked pretty good for like 1 or 2 years, but as I started to do like more of the Rev tours, which are like pretty jam packed, that the year was gone for weeks on end at the time. So the online program worked out pretty good. And once I started doing the online program, there was really no point because I was still getting all the credits and stuff, and was able to travel. So
Hmm. And so your travel schedule would just be like you win some local contests and then they invite you and you're like, all right, Dad, let's go out here.
yeah, some of them for sure. And then the ref tours always have like a set schedule, so I'd be gone a lot in January, February. March is pretty busy for the competition scene, so I was always just gone a lot during then. And then early season, like December, I'd go to Colorado for a couple weeks. But
Yeah. Dude, that's super sick that your high school would let you do that. And so you must if you're 19, you must have just graduated. Like where was COVID in the mix for your high school
I was a
timeline?
sophomore when all that hit, so that's kind of when I switched anyways. It was second semester, but I was doing online anyways, actually. So it worked out pretty good.
Hmm.
So that didn't really affect me at all, really, other
Yeah.
than traveling and stuff. But for school wise, it was not much at all.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that you wanted to go to academy and like it ended up working out with your high school. Did you ever seriously look into it? And was there a point where you're like, all right, yeah, this isn't going to work?
Um, I mean, obviously they're pretty expensive, so I was kind of justifying the price whether it'd be worth it or not, or I could just train on my own for like a third of the cost and still get the education. So I was just, if it's worked this far, I was just kind of like, might as well just keep going with it. And if I really need it, maybe, but I was working pretty good on my own. So
Yeah. Dude, it's just it's crazy. I got high energy for this interview just because like dude, I'm riled up about it. It's like you have a
yeah,
great work ethic and you get all
yeah,
this hate for it. And
I
it,
know.
honestly, it pisses me off a little bit hearing more
Yeah,
about how like you actually just work really hard at it.
yeah, you have to for sure.
Yeah. So you said that you always knew you wanted to pursue it professionally.
Yeah, that's always been definitely a dream since I was like a little kid, just watching like X Games like Bobby Brown, Tom, Nick, obviously, and then this all of them. I thought that was super sick, and then just loved it ever since that.
Yeah. Has there been certain like milestones that you've been aiming for and that you've been hitting along the way? Like what does it look like for you coming up and being like, all right, this worked out. Now here's the next milestone and here's the next one. Like what were those kind of progression points for you?
Yeah, so definitely. I remember as I first get in the Rev Tours, like I always wanted to like podium at those, and then this last year I podiumed at two, which was a huge milestone for me because that when I was first getting into it, I was just like, "There's no way that level is just so high." But now I'm actually able to make finals every time or podium at the events is definitely a milestone. And then I got into the World Cups too, which is definitely a big milestone as those are being the top. So I got into one of those, the Big Air in Switzerland, and then there's another one coming up in Copper next week. So those are definitely huge milestones.
And so when you finished high school, was there any thoughts of going to college or you're like, nah, I'm just doing the skiing thing full time now?
I'm actually doing online classes at
Whoa.
college, getting classes, credits, and doing all that at the same time. Pretty much the same gig as my high school. It's there's a college out in New Hampshire which I'm doing. It's like full online, and they're super good. I like it a lot. So
Yeah.
doing school, not really missing out on that portion, but still able to compete and travel at the same time.
Dude, that's wild that you're going to college through all this too.
Yeah, for sure. Don't want
Damn.
to miss
So
out on.
so I think the way that because I've been vocal about this on this show, I
Mhm.
don't follow the competitions closely, mainly because they're hard to follow. Maybe
Right.
I'm a
Yeah.
little bit lazy in that regard, and I can't just turn on ESPN and see, at 5 in the morning and watch a competition
Right.
in Austria or whatever. But
Yeah.
so I first saw you on social media. How
Hmm.
does that incorporate into your whole career that you're building right now? Like when did the social media thing, when did you recognize that as like, yo, I'm gonna hammer this?
I think during like quarantine, I've always like liked making edits and stuff, and then during quarantine, it's like this would be cool to this kind of I want to get more followers, and then I started posting on TikTok too, because that you can get on anyone's feed if you post a video. So I was like, why don't I start posting on that, which has really helped blow me up because you can just post a video and reach a million different people that don't even follow skiing, which is a cool part. Because Instagram, it's easy to reach like skiers and you kind of like a based audience, but TikTok, you can just like totally like get into anyone's feed, which is cool. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Dude, and I can tell you're kind of a humble kid, but a lot of people get annoyed about the TikTok thing. It's kind
yeah,
of a boomer take to say that TikTok, like you shouldn't go on TikTok. Because I
yeah,
was looking at your TikTok before this,
hmm,
dude, like 500,000 views on a clip that does like a quarter of that on
yeah.
Instagram.
I know, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, I was kind of skeptical on it too at first, and like this is kind of, I mean, I don't know, childish, but as I started getting on and getting views, and then, I mean, I kind of did it to grow my Instagram, but honestly, like posting on TikTok more because I feel like people just like don't judge as much on there as much as Instagram. You can just kind of post whatever. It doesn't have to be like a banger clip or whatever, but just to kind of post on there is like more fun to me, honestly.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Instagram's weird because Instagram's kind of like It's weird because it's like a landing page for sponsors to go
Right.
look at because nobody looks at followers on TikTok from to my
Yeah.
knowledge. Nobody cares about the follower count. And then on
Yeah.
Instagram, that's like, that's kind of
Hmm.
where you could showcase.
Exactly.
But dude, it's not like a little kid platform anymore. Every major
Right.
company is that's like a pillar of social media now.
Yeah. If you're not taking advantage of that, like you're missing out like so much because that's just like such a big platform right now. If you're not taking advantage of it, you're missing out. I feel
Especially
like.
for like organic growth too. Like you're hitting
Yeah.
people outside the ski community on
Yeah.
TikTok.
Exactly. Yeah. I like definitely trying to bring more people into that. That's why I like incorporate like fashion into it because that this brings so many more people in that aren't even interested in skiing, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the fashion slant of it too, because that's the other thing that like you stand out for. You got this wild
Hmm.
helmet, you got the wild fits. Like when
Hmm.
did you start realize? I mean, has that something that you've always cared about in skiing?
Not really, honestly. I think it started when I got like these reflective pants. I made a TikTok and I made like Instagram videos and people were like, "Whoa, where'd you get those? Those are crazy." So I don't know, I kind of started from there and it's like maybe this could be something that brings in more people because obviously a lot of people are more interested in fashion than skiing. So like you make a video about that, people could follow you for fashion, not even the skiing. So that just brings in like a whole other audience almost.
Yeah. And so I haven't watched every single video you've made, every TikTok you've made,
Hmm.
but like it's just skiing in different fits, right? It's not like you're
Yeah,
breaking down what you're wearing. It's literally just pulling up with a different like
yeah,
wild fit on.
yeah, exactly. I don't really break it down or what I'm wearing at all. I just like, oh, that looks cool. Why don't I make an edit in that? I think that looks interesting. It kind of stands out, you know?
And like you just pull up with it.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that I saw that was wild was like the Burberry scarf.
Yeah, yeah, the scarf that one was funny. That dude was like trying to get clips in it. It's like going everywhere, but it was kind of funny for an edit.
So you're self-aware that they're over the top and like ridiculous, right?
100%.
Yeah, like
That's why it's funny. I mean, that's also why it gets people angry, obviously, but it's
yeah.
not that deep. I'm just like having fun with it. But
Dude, this is why I wanted to get you on the mic cuz
yeah,
like people get so upset about
I've seen
stuff,
people
bro.
get so fired up like over like some brands or just like the reflective, like, dude, it's not a big deal, man. I'm just like wearing it for fun, making videos. It's not like, I don't know.
Yeah. I I don't know, man. I think I talked about it recently in the Pete episode. Like
Hmm.
it's like five people saying stuff, and then it gets
Yeah,
blown out of proportion because you're like, oh, everyone's saying this. When it really
yeah,
it's like a couple
no.
probably
Yeah, it's just like
insecure
three
kids.
dudes that are going hard behind their keyboards that don't have anything else to do other than, I don't know. It's usually how it goes.
So you're starting to see some success. Like when you pull up to these when you pull up to these competitions
Hmm.
and you see all these kids with their coaches and all they've been training year round. They like hardly even have any school because they're skiing all the time.
Yeah,
And like you're how do you say it? Podiuming.
yeah.
You're getting on the podium alongside of them. Like, what are you thinking? Like just
Um,
I know it's kind of a vague question, but it's like
it feels good, obviously, because like obviously probably they're putting a lot more into. I mean, not more into it, but like they're spending a lot more almost than they're using coaches and all that. And I'm kind of, and I don't want to say like underdog, but I
mm,
mean, not coming from an academy or coaches or any of that. Definitely feels good to be on top of like the podium with Park City kids or kids that have gone to academies all their life, you know?
yeah. I mean, do you feel salty about it? Like those kids get so many resources and all that stuff, or like are you
Um,
jealous at all?
Not really. I mean, I've definitely traveled around my fair share, so it's not like I'm missing out on like that much. I mean, I don't really feel like salty about it. I mean,
Mm,
if I really wanted to, I could get a coach, but I just don't think it's necessary really to do all that.
yeah. So what is so obviously coaches aren't the secret ingredient. Like what do you think is the key to progressing?
Um, I think you really just gotta want it. I mean, a lot of people have been given the resources and never make it to the next level. You really just gotta have a drive to like want to get to the next level and keep pushing yourself. You gotta get outside your comfort zone for sure and really just try to get to the next level.
Bro, Thank you for saying that because that was the same conclusion that I drew when I was looking at
Yeah,
other stuff. If you if you're a lazy, unmotivated, broke kid,
yeah,
having money isn't gonna suddenly solve your motivation issue.
yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly. I
saying?
mean,
Like
there's
you're
a
not
lot of
just gonna
kids from
suddenly go ahead.
there's a lot of kids from Park City or Summit County or like super rich and all these coaches in perfect jumps, airbags, and then they just like don't have like that drive to like get better because it's just they're just all they're used to is this perfect conditions and jumps out there. So they, I feel like they don't really have like that chip on their shoulder to like get to the next level. But I think for me coming from the Midwest definitely helps because like I'll go out there and be like, wow, this is crazy. Like how you guys not just taking advantage of this like every day.
Yeah, like you're hungrier for it because you don't have access to it all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're pulling up to your home mountain, and obviously the rope toe is huge
Yeah.
for just repetition. Like
Yeah.
that's that's something that people out west don't have access to that people in the
Yeah.
Midwest do. But
Hmm.
when you're I'm not even gonna say training because that's not really what it really is. But like when you're riding at your home mountain, are you hammering down like trying to learn something new? Like how do you approach learning a new trick?
Honestly, when I'm at home hill, I'm never really like training like, oh, I'm probably gonna be doing this in a competition or something. I'm more just like skiing and playing around. I like to film a lot, so if I want to like learn a new trick, I'll probably be trying to do it for like an edit or something, and then just kind of get it from there. But I'm not really like training at my home hill. That's also why I like being from here because it kind of feels like it's more like fun skiing with my like friends rather than just going out and training. Like, oh, I gotta learn this trick, do that trick. It's more like just maybe send this with like your friends and film and stuff like that.
Yeah. So when do you find the time to learn those new jumps that you need to have for the competitions? Is that when you're out west?
Yeah, usually out west or yeah, out west or sometimes I mean, I was in New Zealand, that's pretty much training. And
Yeah.
that's why I go there just for those perfect jumps and all those opportunities. But
Yeah. I mean, so the bottom line is you got to have access to big jumps at some point to be
yeah,
relevant for competition.
100%. Yeah, definitely a big part of it. But rails are half the score in competitions usually, so a lot of people miss out on those. Like, they think jumps are worth a lot more, but rails are just as important.
Yeah. And dude, like I said, you'll have to forgive me because I hardly follow competition skiing. So
Yeah.
what's your specialty? Are you big air, slope style, rail jams? Like what's your bread and butter?
I like slope style personally the best. I mean, I like bigger too, but I think slopestyle is more of an art rather than just go huck your meat at a rail jam or a big air and maybe land a trick and get away with it. I think slopestyle is more like you got to be like perfect every rail, every feature, which I like more because it just takes way longer to master almost.
Yeah. Dude, I mean I've said this before. I've talked for God knows how many hours on this microphone, but it's like I think slope style is the hardest.
Yeah,
Maybe pipes harder because there's less places to train. But
pipe is
slope
my
style you got to be good for longer than
yeah.
like any other
Hmm.
discipline.
Yeah, slopestyle for sure is it's a different type of competition for sure.
Dude, like
It's definitely
you fall on
tough.
the first rail or you just like fuck up and slide off early, like the whole run's just
Yeah.
trashed.
Trash. Yeah, even as you get to higher level, even like a missed grab, even safety grabs count as like that. I mean, that doesn't do anything really for you.
Yeah. That's wild, bro. What's the vibe like between like kids your age at these competitions? Because like you guys are all still teenagers, so there's
Hmm.
like still a lot of immaturity going
Yeah,
on, and definitely
that's why I'm glad to move up as I move up to higher competitions. It's less of that, gets more mature, definitely towards the top. Like I don't know, I don't know. I'm kind of moving out of that phase now, but I mean, I'm friends with the majority of the field, especially the guys on the top, just because I've been competing against some for the last 10 years now, so.
yeah.
Get to know them pretty well.
What's
But,
it like prior to that? Like, are kids just being punks, or like they just kind of ignoring each other? Like, what's the vibe like there
I
when?
feel like it's usually pretty good, but definitely like more like USASA or like Futures Tour levels. I feel like it's more kids just like, oh, screw that kid. I don't know. More like that. But as you get to like the Rev Tours and especially like World Cups, no one's really like that.
Yeah, just some like hater shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's personally one of my favorite parts of getting older is that everyone generally tends to grow up a little bit more, and then you
Yeah.
could
For
just
sure.
kind of it's just easier in general to get along with people as you get older because
Definitely.
everyone starts to go through some shit and you're like, all right, we're kind of all in this together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So the last person I had in your age group was, I think, Jackson.
Yeah.
Um, how do you and Jackson kind of compare as skiers? I think he was mentioning that he's kind of over the comp stuff. I mean, obviously, correct
Yes.
me if I'm wrong. That's kind of just what I'm remembering from our conversation. But
Mhm.
like, how do you two compare, like, mentality
Um,
wise?
I think I mean, I think we're pretty similar for the most part, but he definitely doesn't like competing as much as I do. I think he's kind of steering away from that. But on the social media aspect, I think we're both on the same page, just trying to grow our followers and pump out as much content as we can to try to grow our brand as ourselves. And then pretty much, I mean, just the competing aspect, I don't think he really likes, but
Yeah. Do you find like there's a lot of kids your age that are getting more drawn towards the social media stuff? Because dude, social media is great. It's all on your own terms. You could do whatever you
hmm
want with it. Like, are kids getting drawn towards that?
yeah, I think definitely a lot of them. I feel like competing's you got to be like a special type of person to really like love competing because it's definitely like tough, all the training and sacrifices that go into it. It's obviously going to make it more tough than just going out and filming with your buddies on social media.
Yeah. So like the like competitive nature of it. Looking for another way to phrase it. Like the ruthlessness that's required to be great in competition. That doesn't spoil
Yeah,
skiing for you.
no, not at all. I love it actually. This I don't know. I just feel like I always want to do better next time or beat that person or
Yeah.
make a better run or win.
Yeah, so I mean that was the other thing I was going to ask you. Is it like you versus the other guy or you versus yourself? Like when you learn something new, are you like, yeah, fuck you, you can't do that? Or are you like,
Um,
word, now I've leveled up and like now like you compare yourself to your former self? Like how do you view like where are you getting your energy from competitively?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, as much as I want to say it's all for myself, there's definitely kids who are like, damn, I want to beat that kid next time, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to stay away from that, but definitely like for myself, know I can do better if I were to bobble on a rail or just mess up my run. I like just make sure that won't happen again.
Yeah, dude. It's I mean just skiing at this level is so unrelatable for me. Like it's just wild. When were you starting to land stuff where you're like, yo, this is like a scary level of skiing?
Um, I think the first time I went to New Zealand when I was about 15, I got there and that's where I learned a lot of tricks there. I'm like, I actually did my first triple there and all those jumps there were kind of just like, wow, this is big. Once you start, I learned a couple doubles and I'm like, and then the triples, and that was just like a whole new like that opened up a whole new level of skiing.
Bro, for real. Like I can't that feeling, okay, when you landed that triple, were you
hmm
like, boom, whole new level? Like this is some uncharted territory type shit?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty hyped on it for sure. I mean, it's definitely a good feeling going over 3 times and then landing it for the first time. So, I mean, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you're chilling with like the Harrington brothers, is that what you
Yeah,
said? Were
yeah,
they doing triples before that? Like, did you have someone that you could kind of look towards and get advice from?
yeah. Both of them have did it before me. I think Luca did it like a week before me. So I was like, yeah, I can probably do that too. And I think Benny did it the year before. So it's definitely possible, and they knew what they're doing. So,
Yeah. So they're from New Zealand, right?
yep, correct.
Okay, cool. I don't know much about them, but like, how did you guys even link in the first place if they're from literally the opposite side of the world?
Um, I think our dads, a friend introduced our dads together at USASA Nationals, and because Luca was competing as well, and then kind of got connected through that. And then that was in like April, and then the next season I went down there and just kept kind of talking more. And then I went down there and stayed for like a month and a half, and then it kind of worked out. And I've
Yeah,
been skiing with them ever since.
dude, that is such a great opportunity to get, like go down there and get to ride with like just ride. So what's the season down there for riding? Because here it's like what November through May, so there it's like
Yeah,
inverse.
yeah, there it's like I think mid-ish July it starts getting going, and then August, and then all the way to like mid-October, I think even. So pretty much July through October, it's pretty much their season. September is usually prime month. So
Yeah, that's huge, man. Getting to ride year round and doing that,
yeah,
that's huge for progression.
yeah, I
Um,
need.
all right, let's switch it up a bit. I have this written down. So, who were your influences growing up? You said you had some comp influences.
I always loved Bobby Brown for competition influences. I think definitely Nick, because he's so like dialed in. I like the way he trains. He's just so like on point with everything he does. I've always loved like I always loved like Henrik too, just his style and how unique he is.
Yeah.
Definitely sick.
Did you ever have like any like video only influences, or you always been drawn to the comp guys?
Um, I know Tom Walsh has a couple parts. I know at Breck, they're not really comp, but I think
Yeah.
those are always like my favorite videos. And then I think one of my favorite videos probably Simon one that
Yeah.
they're
That's
called,
fire.
but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
one, I
absolutely.
watched that like so much. I love that video. So
Yeah,
that one's definitely up there. But,
dude. So now, is there anyone out there now that you're looking at that's
um,
currently competing where you're like, damn, they're killing it. Like I'm trying to get it to that level soon.
I don't not no one too specific. I mean, obviously, let me think. I think Kim Goopser's super sick. I like his skiing a lot. Another line guy, and
Mm.
then Mate, obviously, he's super sick. I like the way he skis. But yeah.
That's yeah. Mate's a good one because he's
Hmm.
like kind of your age group too, right? I don't
Yeah,
even know how old he is.
he's 18.
Yeah, that's wild. So he's literally your age and like throwing
Hmm.
down at X Games and stuff.
Yeah,
Damn.
super sick.
What's your goal in the immediate future for competitions?
Um, I mean, obviously get into all the World Cups and then do tour would be super sick. X Games and then really just those. I mean, obviously Olympics would always be a super sick goal too
Mhm.
in the next coming years, but World Cups for sure, maybe X Games. But yeah.
Yeah. So you'll have to educate me a little bit. So for the World Cups, you gotta like earn your way up through competitions throughout the year, right?
Yeah, so it goes by fist points, which is super complex, but
Yeah.
it's pretty much like a ranking system for competitions. And then let's say the US gets like six or so spots for each World Cup, and then a couple guys don't do it, the spots go down. So that's just how you get in pretty much.
Yeah. Are you like are you trying to get on the US team?
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I think that would be beneficial for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, traveling around with them and that coaching would definitely be good for competitions and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
always a
like
goal.
so it'd be beneficial. Like, do you think it's like is that something that's necessary to like take that next step?
Right now I don't think it's necessary, but I mean, I think if I start to get into all the World Cups at some point, being on like the pro team would be super sick. I mean, just traveling around with all those guys, I
Yeah.
think would definitely help.
Do you feel any pressure at all? Because this is like just the trend lately. Do you feel any
Um,
pressure at all to do to like ski urban at all?
Here and there, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I feel like if I were to ski urban, it would definitely make some people happier than like just like trendy skiing, I guess. I don't know. I think maybe I'll do it sometime just to be like, oh, screw you guys. I can hit rails on the street if I wanted to too.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it would shut up a lot of people. But
Yeah. Sure.
dude, I like watching park clips sometimes. Like not
Yeah.
everyone needs to be the exact same skier. You know, like
Yeah.
watching you and Jackson do crazy
Hmm.
shit on just Midwest rails, that's
Yeah.
good enough for me, bro.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, yeah, I think both are good. They definitely both have their pros and cons to them. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to hit urban eventually.
Yeah. Listen, man, no pressure. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying that do you think you'd want to at some point?
Yeah, at
Um,
some point for sure. But
what do you think of like the whole like the vlog trend going on in skiing right now? Like with like Tanner, I haven't watched too many of them, but I think like Tanner Blakely's still doing them. and like
Um,
Bruce is doing them. Do you think that's like a good component to have in the mix for what
I
you're
think
trying to
it
do, or
is.
is that more like the social media side of skiing?
I think it's definitely a good mix to bring in YouTube viewers. I mean, I feel like it doesn't like help you blow up that much, but YouTube has the best like monetization, so I feel like that plays a part in it.
Mm.
But I mean, it's definitely not a bad thing to do, just to make vlogs keeps people interacted. I just haven't gotten around to them yet because I know it's a lot of work, but maybe at some point I'll think about it.
Have you monetized your TikTok videos at all?
Yeah, I've been doing that for a while now, so
Is that money
definitely.
is that money good at all?
It's okay. As it's if I have like a video that blows up, it'll be like decent, but
Yeah.
it's not like I'm gonna be spending that money like to travel around on.
Yeah, so we're talking just like a couple $100 like over the
Yeah.
course of a year.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
Yeah. Is that well, what are you going to college for? Like,
Right now I'm just going for a business degree and kind of just getting the credits.
yeah, that's what I did too. I just went
Yeah,
general business, very
yeah.
very broad. Like, are
Keep the
you worried
courses.
at all about like the like making a career out of it financially, or are you not even focused on that right now?
I mean, that would definitely be a goal. That's why I'd try to play social media into a big part of it because I know that helps a lot more than the competition scene would unless you're at the very top. But I mean, hopefully make a career out of it because I
Yeah,
know social media would play the biggest role in that with sponsors and advertisements. I know there's more money there than there is usually in the competition scene. So
dude, come on, bro. This like it just make what you're doing makes so much sense for what your position is. Like,
yeah,
and I just go back to like this the imaginary person that like has all the access to resources, growing up in all these places,
hmm
and then not like hammering it. Like if you're,
yeah,
I think the social media thing just makes sense. Like you gotta make money here and there. Why
yeah,
not blow up on TikTok and get a couple bucks here and there, right?
exactly. Yeah, it's better than nothing. Then I mean, yeah,
Dude, you're on your grind. I feel
working on it.
I'm pissed off that people rag on you, bro.
Yeah, it's whatever. You get a following, and it's always gonna happen.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think a huge part of it plays into the you being young,
hmm
spinning really fast, which we can talk about, and the fashion thing. Because the fashion
Yeah,
thing, people are going to hate on that because they're
yeah,
just going to want to see people dressing like Henrik forever for the most part.
yeah. I mean, I do have Hendrix, but like, I mean, I don't think I would be as big as if I were to just wear like an all black like fit with Hendrix and
Yeah.
do easy tricks. Like, I'd blend in. I mean, probably I don't know. I just try to stand out, and I think fashion's a good way too.
Yeah. That's wild. So what do you think of the spin to win thing? Like people get upset
I
when
feel like
yeah, go ahead.
people that hate on spin to win don't want to spin because it's hard. Like, sure, I could go out and do like a steezy like front four, like something, but like that's not that dope. I mean, it's dope, but like hucking like a nine off a rail or like I don't know. I feel like that's more gnarly to me.
Dude, it's way more gnarly for
I
sure.
mean, I don't know. I feel like the guys that are hitting on spin to win like can't do it usually. I mean, obviously a couple will, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Like it's usually just older dudes that are just like, oh, you don't have style. They're spin to win. Like I don't know. I just
Well, I
feel like to
think
keep up nowadays, you have to keep going and keep pushing the limits. You know.
yeah. There's definitely like a gnarlier factor to it. Like at the end of the
hmm
day, doing a nine is harder than doing a four. I could
Yeah.
understand their argument that one looks better than the other,
Yeah, for
but like
sure.
if you could dial in a nine and make it look good,
hmm
I don't know what there is to hate on for that. You know, like if you can
Yeah,
make it look good,
exactly.
you can make it look good.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think that I think that you're not posting clips where you're making it look trash. You know, like these are
Yeah.
dialed in.
Yeah, I think it's good to have a mixture of both too, for sure. I mean, not everything has to be like a nine out of a row. You can have some like mellow stuff too, obviously, and make it look good. But
Yeah.
I think it's definitely good to have a mixture of both.
Were you did you compete in Rails to Riches at all? Not Rails to Riches, excuse me. Did you compete in Steel City Showdown at all?
I did not. Unfortunately, there was a competition in Canada that week, so I missed it. But the very first one I was able to come to.
Hmm. And how'd you do in that?
I didn't make finals, but they had only I think it was like Jackson and Tucker and then one other guy, so it was pretty tough, but it was fun. I liked the event.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the environment where like that type of skiing would shine best. Because it's like just
Yeah,
riding. It's like
definitely.
riding a rope tow, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is that something that you're trying to get into this year if the schedules work out?
Maybe, but like at the same time, I also steer away from those events just because it's like it's a good chance to get hurt. Like I see Jackson do a 5 swap, I want to try a 7 swap, and some gnarly
Yeah.
rail. It's just not gonna end well usually. So I
Dude,
tend to stay away from those.
I don't know if you watch like collegiate football at all, but it's the same thing with like kids that are
Yeah.
about to go to the NFL. They're like,
Hmm.
why would I play in a bowl game that means nothing where I could get hurt and then ruin my
Yeah.
professional career? Like, it's the
Exactly.
same
Yeah.
thing. It's like, why compete in a rail jam? The rail jam's
Hmm.
cool, a bowl game is cool, but you could still get hurt for the stuff that matters in the long run.
Yeah. Exactly. Like that event's super sick, but like even if I were to do well in it, it doesn't mean it's not gonna give me to like the goal that I want to get to, and it's just a chance to get hurt. So.
Yeah. How are you looking in terms of like sponsorships?
Um, right now the main ones are just line and wear leathers, pretty much the main ones right now.
Mhm.
Used to be full tilt, but obviously all that
Yeah.
isn't. But
So
yeah,
how
pretty
did
much
go ahead.
just line and wear leathers. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did they originally reach out to you or like discover you? Did you reach out to them or did they find you on social media? How did that work?
Mm. The first time I went to New Zealand, I hopped on lines and started wearing them down there, and then pretty sure I just emailed them my triple in them, and that pretty much went on from there, and it started, and then from there on, and started working with them.
Yeah. And you're just like, yo, here's me doing
Yeah,
something crazy on your product. Like, hook me up.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Word, man. All
Hmm.
right. Let's see. I'm just looking through my list of stuff. Um, do you have like anyone that you're talking to, like other people your age or maybe like a mentor or anything that's trying to like putting you on a little bit of like the game of how to navigate through the ski world, or are you kind of like doing it solo?
Um, I mean,
In terms of like navigating like getting sponsors and like how to rise up through like the competition ranks, because usually be a coach or like an
yeah, I
agent if like
mean,
you're really pro. Like who's
I don't,
giving you guidance?
I don't really have anyone too specific. I mean, my dad obviously still help. He's been doing it for so long, and we've kind of gathered like what it takes. I mean, he knows a lot about the competitions and stuff now, so pretty much just my dad, really.
Yeah. Well, that dude, that's a perfect tag team. Like you're
Hmm.
competing, and then he's down there talking to all the parents, like, "Hey,
Exactly,
what's your
yeah.
kid doing?"
Yeah, been doing that for years now.
Dude, and it goes back to people being upset that like somebody just happens to have a loving and supporting family. Because if your dad's
Yeah,
not doing that, who's doing that? It's gonna be your coach that already knows all
exactly.
that stuff. Like it's just you're getting the same info.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Dude, like what's been on your mind lately for because we're getting into the winter, we're getting into the
Yeah.
competition season. Like, where are you at mentally right now?
I mean, I'm definitely excited for the competition season. I like competing, so I mean, I can't wait to get that started again. But I've been dealing with like a little back injury lately that's been kind of setting me back. So I'm hoping that will kind of heal up on its own before the season really gets going. So
Mhm. Yeah, I think I saw you mention that actually, and like in your most
yeah,
recent Instagram post. What happened with that?
it's been an injury for like 4-ish years now. I think I did it lifting when I was like a freshman in high school, and it's just been kind of like nerve damage since then. And then sometimes when I'm skiing, if I tweak it weird, it'll be aggravated and it kind of messes me up. And then in the Switzerland big guy, like really messed it up there and wasn't able to compete much. So it's just
So did
something
you
I take
take a
care
big bail there, or was it just like a weird landing?
of. Not really. I really just like landed weird and just kind of like locked up, and I was literally like, I like could not move really. So that
Yeah,
was unfortunate, but happens.
yeah. I mean, were you super bummed about that, or is it just like whatever?
Yeah,
That's one competition. Like, how did that like get to you mentally?
I mean, I was definitely bummed because it was my first World Cup, but at the same time, it's like a big air, and then if it was a slope style, like a Rev Tour slope style, I'd be definitely more bummed. But just
Mm.
because a big air doesn't really mean as much to me in the long run. But I was definitely still bummed though. I mean, the World Cup debut definitely would have liked even just the throwdown on that jump with all those like pros would just be super sick. But
Yeah.
uh,
How is it on those scaffolding big airs? Those things look so sketchy.
It wasn't too jank, but definitely like just looking at it from above, it's just like so tall and this so much goes into it. And then there's like a little elevator that goes up, and up there it's just like windy and you're just looking over the city. But it's cool though, it's unique.
Yeah, bro. I would love to go out and see one of those at some point.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Um, all right. I got some viewer questions for you. We'll let
All
the
right.
people talk to you. Right off the bat, what's your hot take in skiing?
Um, I think one hot take I have would be that freestyle skiing should not be as much of an orthodox sport as it is. Like some people like a lot of people like with my exes will be like, oh, you're like morking them or throwing them out. I feel like there's no really like set axis in freestyle skiing, you know? Like I feel like you can pretty much do whatever you want and tank it on any axis you think is sick, you know? I think that's a big thing. But
So you're talking about like describing something as a wobble versus describing something as like an
yeah,
actual
like
rotation.
yeah, like I don't know, just like stuff like that. And I mean, it's not like gymnastics or diving where like this certain trick scores that. It's more, I feel like, especially in competition, it's more of like an overall impression. There's not like a certain set trick that's going to score like that, or a certain way to do tricks. Like everyone does them like as like a different way. Like Kepper doesn't throw his corks the same way as like Henrik or stuff like that. You know?
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. Nobody's really given a competition take yet, so
Yeah.
I like that one.
Even just like skiing in general, though, just the way people do tricks is always going to be like different.
Yeah.
So I think,
Well, I mean, dude, people talk about it. They're like, hey,
mhm.
skiing is like all about doing what you want to do. And then the second you
Yeah,
do something outside the box that's not
yeah,
outside the box and people in the way that people want it to be, they get upset with
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, bro. I mean, we've been hinting at this the whole time. Spencer and Aiden, opinions on the new schoolers trash talk about you.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I mean, obviously, I think it's some of it's kind of funny because it's usually just like bums just typing away because they got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
What are you doing, man? You're literally hating for like no
Yeah.
reason, and I'm just like having like fun with it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. I
Well,
think
I
it's
think, dude,
dumb,
it's
but
just kind of it's part of a overall big like you're just thrown into an overall bigger debate about
yeah.
like style and about
Hmm.
social media. Like you guys, you're thrown right into the middle of that because you're hitting
Yeah.
both those things in a way that aggravates people.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely see like why I'm thrown into it. I mean, if I'm gonna wear goofy stuff, I'm expecting to receive some of it.
Yeah,
But like some people are just like, I like fucking hate this kid. And like, dude, it's not that deep at all. I'm just like making edits, like wearing stupid stuff for fun. It's not like you gotta like hate me for, you know?
yeah. Well, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to convey personality through a video.
Yeah,
So
no, I
maybe they
definitely
just
like
think, go ahead.
sometimes I'll look at my stuff and just be like, I can definitely see how people portray me as like as what they do, like an academy kid that's just wearing stupid stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't
Well, dude, they probably think that you're just like this like cracked out Zoomer that's like,
know.
you know.
Yeah,
But how to communicate that you're not through social media? Tough to
yeah,
say. I don't know, but it's just,
yeah,
dude, it really is just some like some hater shit, like just
yeah, it
sitting behind a
is.
keyboard.
Yeah.
So do you go on new schoolers or are you mostly just like on?
Yeah, no, I don't. I only go on there if someone's like, I would check this out. They're like ripping into you, and I'll like go
Yeah,
read it. But like, I don't. I think it's stupid anyway. So it's just like I don't really spend much time on it anywhere because
yeah,
I don't even know who like uses that really.
yeah.
Uh,
I'd like to see who's using it now. There's for sure, some like 11 or 12 year olds in the
yeah.
mix with this conversation. Like you're talking about like actual like little kids getting
Oh
upset
yeah.
about this stuff. And then like I don't know, there's a lot of people hopping to your defense that are on the website a lot and they're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
look
I
at
respect that for
yeah,
sure. I mean, all those dudes are homies.
yeah,
Like, and they know what's up.
yeah."
And
I don't mean to make it the focus of this, but I just had to point it out because
yeah, for
it's
sure.
just like I don't know, it
No,
seems like everyone always has to have a person in skiing that they're like, "Oh yeah, this is the epitome of what I dislike." And it's like, "Bro, who cares?"
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Kate asks, what has helped you most with your progression?
I think watching videos and getting like inspiration from other people and being and seeing like what they're doing has really helped me like push myself to get to that next level. Just like, wow, I need that. He did that. I want to do that now. Just stuff like that
Mhm.
really helps.
Like when you see someone else do something, are you thinking like, "Oh yeah, like that's pop like because they
Mm.
did it, I could also do it?"
Yeah, definitely. If I see someone do that, I need to get on that or learn how to do it better.
Yeah. I think it's like the 4 minute mile. At
Yeah.
first, people thought that like running a 4 minute mile was impossible. They're
Hmm.
like, "Oh yeah, it's like it's beyond the human capability."
Yeah.
And then the second it got broken, like
Yeah.
a
Everyone just,
bunch of people just started doing it afterwards because they saw that it was possible.
yeah, I think that's definitely how skiing's literally the same way. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, A Hall does a 21. There's going to be a lot more kids who are going to crank a 21 now. It's just like an ongoing process.
Yeah. So do you think that quads are up next?
I think if they start building jumps bigger and more jumps allow, for sure.
Yeah.
But if it's just tough for the size of the jumps that are usually capped at 70, 75 now, it's definitely still like super tight to get around, depending on your access.
So they literally max it out. They say this is the biggest we're allowing.
No, no, but just like, I don't know, they usually just cap them. I mean, there's only, I don't know, they just build them like a certain way. They
Yeah.
usually don't make them, I don't know, they're usually just the same size.
That's like a practical thing.
Yeah, just like a stock, like 70, 75 foot jump. They tend to don't make them too much bigger.
Yeah.
But
Word. Dude, I think that's a great take on it. Like
yeah,
just because some people are like, oh, you got to hit the tramp, oh, you got to hit the like. I think just being inspired by looking at
hmm,
other people is such a great answer because that dude, that's what like you see somebody else do something in any other aspect of life, you're like, oh, they
yeah,
did it, I'm gonna do it better.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, especially if you're competitive.
Yeah.
Um, all right, Jed asks, do you get dizzy while in the air?
Um, I feel like I get more dizzy on rails to be honest, but sometimes when I'm like really spinning, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Or like I don't know, sometimes I've done like triples on really small jumps and I'm like land and I'm just like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah. Bro,
But yeah,
that is such a funny question from this
like
kid.
sometimes I can't even like tell if I did like a double or triple to be honest. It's
It's just
really
that
weird.
blurry.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, and Loch Ness Monster. These three kind of all tied together. So
yeah.
are you going for? He asked, are you going for a quad front flip soon? But are you got your eyes on a quad at all? Like, are you thinking that's possible in the near future?
Front flip, probably not, just because I don't know, this other dude tried when he got so messed up.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to have like a really fat jump, but quad for sure. I think if I get the right jump again, I wanted to in New Zealand, but I kind of like I broke my grabbing hand, so I couldn't like pull for it. So it was kind of a bummer because that jump there was definitely doable. But I mean, I think I'll do it at some point. I mean, I've
What?
tried it once and kind of bailed, but I think it's definitely at some point I'll do one.
Yeah. What do you think is like the best grab for that? Because A Hall was saying that the Buick, like he just pulls out the Buick so he could spin faster. Like if you were going for
Yeah.
something like that, what grab are you going to?
On a quad for me personally is safety, but like a mute would be like crazy with it, I think. But
Yeah.
that's a lot. But I think most people if they're gonna quad, they're probably just gonna rip a safety grab just because you can just pull it and get so much power from it.
Yeah. Word. All right, I'm throwing this one in there.
Hmm.
I don't know if he was clowning around, but I'm gonna throw it in just because he put it in there.
Yeah.
So David S. Cards, does being a TikTok star get you bitches?
Um, honestly, yeah, like sometimes they'll like hit me up, but like I don't know. It's more dudes. I hate to say it,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So do you get girls like sliding your DMs being like that was fire, or is it like dudes saying, "Yo, I'm such a big fan"?
It's like 90% dudes and then like a little bit girls. But I
Bro,
know. I don't know. That's
it's
how
like
it is.
it's like having a nice car. You
Yeah,
know, like
exactly.
having a nice car, you're gonna get mostly dudes coming up to you saying,
Yeah.
"Man, I love your car." Like if you want girls, get yourself a
Hmm.
dog.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Simeon, what's it like being thugging all designer on?
Um, it's all right. It's fun sometimes, but don't
Does it
know.
get expensive?
A little bit has its moments, but
Yeah.
scary to ski in sometimes, not gonna lie.
Yeah. That's funny, bro. Simeon,
Mm,
another Midwest dude. That's
yes,
tight.
sir.
Do you guys do you Midwest guys like show respect to each other on social media? Are you guys like,
Yeah,
yo, I know
definitely.
what you went through?
Yeah, definitely. I love Simeon. We don't ski too much, but like when we do, it's super sick.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're skiing together. I know Tall T Dan had like one of his arsenic meets a few weeks back, and he was there too, which is super dope to see all the Midwest homies see each other. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's fire. I feel like the same camaraderie with people in New England.
yeah,
I do wonder if kids like out west feel that way, just because there's so many people skiing out there. I
yeah.
don't
I
know.
don't know. I feel like it's not as tight, but I
There's
don't
no
know.
way it is, dude. There's like so
Yeah,
many
I
more
don't-
people that ski out there.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Steve's dog, Henry. Do you prefer comp skiing or filming edits?
Tough one. I don't know. I mean, I honestly like them like about the same. Like I love competing. Like I'm like get super competitive, all that. But like when I'm just like hanging out with like friends, like my local hill, like skiing and getting clips is like pretty hard to beat.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a
Were you
tough one.
were you ever part of the era? It might have moved on to iPhones at this point, but like, did you ever have a crew of friends where you guys were like passing around like a DSLR or like any other camera, or has it always been iPhone clips?
I actually do have a group of buddies back home that we do film on camera sometimes with, but right now it's usually just like iPhone, just because it's so like quick and easy. But if we're trying to make like an edit for like YouTube or something like that, it'll be on a camera.
Dude, iPhone is it's just,
It's hard to beat. Yeah.
dude, it really is just that much easier. The
Hmm.
quality's better. You just whip it
Yeah.
out of your pocket. It's just so much easier, man.
Yeah. It's definitely the new way for sure.
Yeah. Um, all right. Yap skis. Are you going to do a helmet tutorial?
Um, maybe.
Yeah.
I made a
So
video on like what I did to it, but I mean, maybe if enough people want it.
yeah. And for the people that don't know, your helmet, I mean, you want to describe what it looks like? It's kind of hard for me to put
Um,
into words.
Funny story. I actually had a Jeep Wrangler and I wrapped it camouflage, so it was like my helmet. I had like leftover wrap, so I was just like bored, and I like put it on my helmet as a joke, and I like kind of kept it. So that's like why I did that. So it's just like a kind of like an Arctic camo helmet,
Yeah.
just from leftover wrap I had from my car.
Dude, that's a good way to describe it. It's literally like an Arctic camo type of
Mm.
helmet. That's
Might have
fire.
to switch it up though soon. Come
You're
up
gonna
with
have
something
to,
different. Yeah,
especially as you enter new eras of your skiing, bro. You got to change up the
uh,
fits.
I do.
Yeah, that's funny. Um,
Hmm.
all right, Connor, what's the most you've spun off a rail?
I think it's a 9. I've only done a 9. I need to do an 11 soon though. I've just never really like got to it. But I'll get an 11 soon if I find the right rail.
Yeah. I was gonna ask that. Like, what is the right rail for? Like, what's the rail you see where you're like, yo, I'm about to like slaughter this thing?
Usually just like any cannon really, like
Uh,
tube cannon. But I don't know. There was this one rail in Austria that I kept seeing clips that I wasn't there, but that one that goes like the rainbowish one that just shoots you in the air looks super sick.
yeah.
I wish I could hit that one, but
We call that the
because everyone's
ummo
doing
back in my
yeah,
place. Yeah.
like dubs off of it. I'm like, shoot, I want to hit that rail.
Dude,
But
Jackson hammers those clips.
oh yeah.
That one that's out at Hood. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
that
a
I want to
mini
hit
version of
that
that.
one too. I
Yeah.
went to Hood 2 summers ago and they didn't have it. It was like the one year they didn't have it. I was super bummed, but
Yeah.
something.
That's all we got. Is there anyone you want to shout out? Anyone you want to thank? Anything you want to keep people posted to look out for?
I mean, I guess just watching all the edits this year, and then shout out to my parents for supporting, and then shout out Line Skis too.
Yes, sir. All right. That's it for this week. We'll see you guys hopefully next week. We're going to start doing some more of those video breakdowns like we did last year. So hit me up if you got a favorite video from this fall, and we'll get to it. And Luke, dude, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.